Okay, so today I have a quick one related to AI and photography, specifically street photography. I myself work in tech as a product manager, and I'm dealing with AI pretty much every day. On the other hand, I also do photography, and I noticed that in this industry, it is a little bit more frowned upon. And with good reason, because there are risks to it. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of these risks, specifically in what I do the most, which is street photography. And more than providing a solution, I just want to put the topic on the table so that we can create a conversation. So the first point is about where the fear was before. So if you are an introverted person, like I am myself, the fear, let's say, or the tough part of doing street photography was in the confrontation. So basically, even being out there on the street with a camera, feeling a little bit more seen, let's say, and this created its own blockers or bumps in the road, let's call it, where you don't know if you're gonna get confronted or just gonna get a nod or even be asked for the picture. It could go either way. And by the way, I made a video about confrontation in street photography, so you can have a look at that later. But that was it. And if you could manage to take pictures on the street without being confronted, you had your picture, you could edit it, you can post it, and then that was it. There was not much more to think about, let's say, from this point. But of course, things have changed now. But what has changed nowadays, and actually for the last few years already, but I'm going to be specific about the year in which we are, 2026, what has changed in 2026 is that the process doesn't end there. When you publish a picture, there are now tools powered by AI that basically can reverse engineer the picture and find a specific identity of what that person is. And of course, if you're in technology or know a little bit about this, you know that you could do an image search on Google and then actually get to a similar result, although it was a bit more rustic, let's call it. Now it's way more sophisticated. You can get to a specific name with this kind of tools, and that is scary. That's scary not only, of course, from the perspective of the person having the picture taken of them, but also of the perspective of the person taking the picture, because you don't really want to put people at risk. And if you're doing street photography for the sake of art, I'm expecting that you're not doing this with the aim of harming people. And that is the risk. The fear has moved a little bit or has spread out a little bit from the being out there and taking picture, which is a little bit more personal, now over to what can happen if people really want to identify some other people. But this is conflicting, as you can imagine, and I'm really curious about your thoughts, because this poses the question of if art should be something that you tamper with. And by the way, I mentioned it briefly before, but my name is Cesar. I'm a photographer, content creator, a product manager at a tech company, and an introvert. So I approach photography a bit different. Instead of treating it like a full-time job, I actually build systems that make it fit around a full-time job and a real life. And I'm making this video not as a form of a lecture or as someone that thinks that's above the problem, but I'm actually trying to voice my discomfort out loud and see if anyone else feels the same. And the next point is about gear. So about your camera or the equipment that you're using, and hear me out because this has to do with what I mentioned before. And what I mean with this topic being related to gear is what the photos themselves are more traceable nowadays. The cameras start being less and less traceable. Of course, you have your full frame cameras, or you have your medium-sized cameras like the Fujifilm X100VI, or you even have your phone, which, well, it was considered a small camera before, but now you have things that don't look like cameras, but that act like cameras, such as the glasses, for example. Famous glasses of this are, of course, the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, but these are not the only example. There are many others like this. Which makes a change on that for years, the tell to a stranger that a picture has been taken of them was the fact that there was a lens in front of them. But now that signal is fading, which in a way means that the ethics cannot live in the fact that you are or aren't noticed, or at least cannot live there fully. They also have to live in what you do with the file, the photo itself. And this is not my own private worry. Actually, photojournalism is kind of following this trend as well. And what they're doing nowadays is that more and more photo publications are actually avoiding specific faces and going more macro. What I mean with this is that they are basically showing crowds of people where no one is really fully identifiable and where faces sit less at the center of the frame. Part of this is, of course, legal caution, understandable, and another part is just plain respect. Even though it may be somewhat legal to just take pictures for documentary purposes, let's say. And by legal, that really depends on where you are. So if you really want to be close to the law, check what the law says where you are specifically in the world. But in any case, when people that do this for a living are protecting faces, it's at least worth that the rest of the people that are doing this also as a hobby at least pays attention. This topic is based on an article by F-Stoppers, which you can find here, and also the link is in the description. And now on to how I am dealing with this situation myself. And well, this is also where I expect you to share how you deal with this when you're doing street photography. The way I'm dealing with it is sometimes conflicted, but what I'm trying to do is handle it both at the moment of taking the picture and also sometimes at the moment of publishing the picture. At the moment of taking the picture, yeah, I do have pictures in which faces are recognizable, but I'm trying to do that less and less as time goes by. And what I'm trying to focus on is something a bit more macro, like the point that I mentioned before, or go into the micro details where faces are not really fully seen, or on the other hand, just capture silhouettes, shapes. And this is also where it starts getting a bit conflicting for me, because one thing I started to dislike in street photography were just photos of people's backs, because that made it feel less real and more like sneaky in a way. So it's a bit of a combination. And as I said before, there's no real solution, at least in my opinion, as of now. At least I haven't found one. And on the other hand, as I mentioned in another video, I'm trying to not take photos of people in situations of vulnerability. So people that are having a hard time, people that are homeless, or kids, for example. These kind of things are a little bit more of a hard no for me when I'm doing street photography. It all depends on how you want to approach it. And additionally, about the moment of publishing, what I've done in the past, and again, one more time, there's no clear, real, hard solution to this, is actually use AI in order to protect people's faces in a way. So there have been cases in which I've posted a picture where someone's face was very recognizable, where I changed their face with AI. So it turned into someone that doesn't really exist, but thanks to the advances of the technology, it still feels okay. So not really an uncanny valley picture. This itself made me have peace of mind on what I was posting. And this is where the line is blurred between what do you post as art and what do you post as something that could be risky. For an introvert like me, editing the pictures before I publish them is also kind of the low confrontation path. Although you may think that maybe the confrontation starts being with the platform itself, because then you need to specify that you are posting a picture with AI changes. But in any case, anonymizing the picture makes me avoid the conversation, the awkward conversation, and also do right for the person. And coming back to gear for a little bit, I've also found a middle ground in which I still shoot with my Fujifilm X100VI around the streets and sometimes with my Sony a6700, which are cameras that people can directly see and know that I am taking pictures with. But where I made the change is that I've optimized the settings of this camera so that it's a bit more stealthy on the street, so that it doesn't bother people that much and also allows you to just be more comfortable, especially if you are an introvert. So I put together a cheat sheet, which you can find in the QR code over here or on the link in the description, where you can download it for free. Keep in mind that it asks you to put an amount of money. You just put 0 if you don't want to pay for it, and if you want to leave a tip, that's up to you. But you can download it, use the settings on your camera, which actually, it may not even be only for the Fujifilm X100VI. It may also work for other cameras. So give it a try, it's for free, and let me know what you think. So see you in the next video.